In a world full of noise, the quiet moments are the ones that often speak loudest. And when a woman hugs you, even if it's brief or seemingly casual, it can hold more meaning than either of you realize in the moment. The way you respond to that hug, not with words or gestures, but with your presence, can leave a lasting impression. You don't need to impress her with charm, or overwhelm her with energy. Sometimes, it's the man who remains calm, composed, and grounded, the man who says nothing but feels everything with restraint, stays in her mind the longest. Stoicism teaches us that strength isn't about force, it's about internal steadiness. In this guide, you'll learn how to apply that same stoic presence in one of the most subtle yet powerful interactions, a hug. Handle it with awareness, respect, and emotional intelligence, and you'll do more than just make a good impression. You'll create a memory that lingers, and she may never even know why. Number 1. Be fully present in an age where distractions pull at our attention from every direction, presence has become rare and therefore powerful. Whether you're interacting with a friend, listening to someone speak, or receiving a simple gesture like a hug, how fully you show up in that moment determines the depth of connection you create. To be fully present isn't about trying harder, it's about doing less. Stripping away distractions, internal noise, and the urge to perform. It's about being there with your whole attention without trying to be anything other than who you are. For men who value stoicism and emotional maturity, presence is one of the most meaningful ways to express quiet strength. Here's why it matters, and how to embody it, especially during important moments that carry subtle emotional weight. Number 1. Presence makes the other person feel seen. When you're fully present, the person with you can feel it, often before they realize it consciously. You're not looking around the room. You're not rushing the moment. You're not preparing your next sentence while they speak. You're simply there. And that's rare. When a woman hugs you or shares a moment with you, your grounded presence tells her something powerful. This matters, Tom. You're not invisible here. Most people move through life feeling unseen. When you respond to them with stillness and attention, you offer something uncommon, emotional recognition, that more than any compliment or action makes you memorable. Number 2. Presence shows confidence without needing to prove it. A man who is distracted or nervous tends to fidget, overtalk, or mentally run ahead of theme. This creates emotional static. But a grounded man, one who is comfortable in silence, sends a different message. I don't need this moment to be anything other than what I tease. That kind of steadiness is confidence in its truest form. It boasts, it doesn't grasp. It simply allows, and it draws people in. Not because you're performing, but because you're anchored. Number 3. Presence helps you feel more, not just think. Stoicism isn't about being emotionless. It's about staying centered in the midst of emotion rather than being overwhelmed by it. When you're present in a moment, such as during a hug, quiet conversation, or even eye contact, you notice more. You pick up on subtleties, the shift in someone's breathing, the change in their tone, the energy behind their gesture. Being present helps you respond more appropriately, more thoughtfully, not reactively. It turns everyday interactions into meaningful ones. Number 4. It trains you to slow down, and that creates depth. Rushing is the enemy of presence. When you move too quickly through conversations, gestures, or shared moments, you lose the richness of what's there. Stoic men know that patience is a form of wisdom. When you slow down and unrush the moment, you create a sense of calm, not only in yourself, but in the people around you. She may not know why she feels safe or heard around you, only that she does. Often, it's your pace that sets that tone. You walk slower, you listen longer, you allow the silence to breathe. And that kind of stillness lives on in memory. Number 5. Presence respects the moment and the person in it. When you're with someone and you're fully engaged, you're showing respect not just for them, but for the moment itself. You're saying, this doesn't need to be rushed. I'm not trying to get something out of it. I'm simply here with you. That's not romantic or dramatic. It's simply rare. Most people are so focused on what's next, the next message, the next reply, the next step, that they miss the moment there. Actually, and that's where meaning lives. Number 6. The man who is present stands out without trying to. You don't need to speak louder, move faster, or come up with clever words to be remembered. Often, it's the quiet man, the one who pauses before he speaks, the one who listens with real focus, holding in people's minds. Why? Because presence is felt, not forced. The Monwo doesn't constantly try to be seen, is often the one people remember. Most Hiscom becomes a contrast to the chaos of the world. He becomes a reference point of stillness, and that sticks. Number 7. Presence builds emotional discipline. Being present means resisting the urge to escape from discomfort, from silence, from awkwardness. It's a form of inner discipline. It teaches you to hold space even when it would be easier to distract yourself. In a moment like a hug, presence means you're not overthinking. You're not wondering what she feels or trying to analyze her body language. You're just there, letting the moment be what it is. This kind of restraint, this emotional posture trains you to become more attuned not just to others but to yourself. Number 8. Presence is the foundation of trust. Think about the people you trust the most. Chances are, they're the ones who listen, who don't interrupt, who make you feel like you're the only one in the room when they're with you. Presence builds that. If you want to be kind of man others, especially women, respect, trust, and feel drawn to practice presence consistently. Over time, it becomes who you are, not just something you do. Number 9. How to practice being present. Simple steps. Being present isn't mystical, it's practical. Try these small steps. Slow your breathing before a conversation or interaction. Put away distractions, especially your phone, when talking to someone. Make eye contact, not in a forceful way, but in a grounded, gentle way. Pause before speaking, especially when emotions are involved. Resist the urge to multitask in social settings. Let silence exist without rushing to fill it. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes, and people around you will notice even if they can't explain why. Number 2. Mirror her energy. Don't overwhelm it. In the realm of connection, whether it's friendship, interest, or something deeper, there is a subtle but powerful principle that many overlook. Meet her where she is, not where you think she should be. This isn't about playing games or manipulating someone's emotions. It's about honoring pace, tone, and presence. It's about respecting her space, her energy, and her comfort level. When you mirror rather than overwhelm, you create a space that feels safe, stable, and sincere. Let's break this down into the reasons why this approach matters and how to embody it in everyday life. 1. It shows you're paying attention, not just performing. When you match someone's energy, you're demonstrating that you're attuned to them. You're not pushing your own agenda. You're not trying to impress. You're listening. People often appreciate those who don't make them feel like they have to catch up emotionally or socially. If she's calm, thoughtful, or reserved, and you show up with over-the-top enthusiasm, you might seem disconnected from her state of mind. Stoicism teaches us to observe first, respond second. When you pause long enough to feel the setting and then gently align with it, you prove something rare. You respect her experience. It builds trust without pressure. People open up on their own timeline, not on ours. When you mirror her energy, it subtly tells her, I'm not here to rush you, I'm just here. That kind of grounded patience is disarming in the best way. It removes pressure and replaces it with presence. There's no need to force connection. Let it unfold. Your ability to sit with her quietness, her pauses, or her reserved nature is often more compelling than anything loud or flashy. It builds the kind of trust that isn't born out of intensity, but out of emotional consistency. It reflects emotional maturity. Overwhelming someone with energy, even good intentions, can feel like emotional noise. It might be perceived as insecurity, overcompensation, or a need for constant affirmation. But mirroring someone's energy says, without words, I'm grounded enough to meet you calmly. I don't need to control the interaction. I trust the flow. That quiet confidence is a myth people remember. It leaves an impression of strength that doesn't need to shout. It respects her boundaries. Sometimes a woman is tired. Sometimes she's cautious. Sometimes she's just in her own thoughts. If you respect that and move at her pace, you're not just mirroring her energy. You're honoring her boundaries. And here's something often missed. Boundaries are not rejections. They are invitations to when you do, you stand out. Not because you're demanding attention, but because you're demonstrating awareness. That kind of subtle presence says more than words ever could. It encourages real connection, not performative closeness. When you rush into high-energy conversations or try too hard to be funny, charismatic, or overly expressive, it may create surface-level interaction, but it rarely invites depth. Mirroring her energy invites a different kind of closeness. It tells her she doesn't have to perform either. You're not expecting her to match your energy. You're matching hers. That small shift can make her feel seen, understood, and accepted for where she actually is, not where she's supposed to. It keeps you rooted in the present moment. If you're always reacting from emotion, nerves, or excitement, you might miss subtle cues she's giving you, body language, tone, silences, or even hesitation. But when you slow down and meet her where she is, you're not tracing a future moment. You're simply present. That's powerful. It says, I'm not trying to leap ahead. I'm here now with you. And whether she's aware of it consciously or not, that presence speaks volumes. It prevents misunderstanding. Overwhelming energy, especially if it comes across as too intense or fast, can lead to confusion. She may wonder, is he trying to push things? Why does he seem in a rush? Does he actually notice how I'm feeling? But when your energy is a gentle mirror, she'll likely feel something different. He really listens. He gets my pace. I can breathe around him. That clarity removes second-guessing and creates mutual understanding. It allows her to lead when she's ready. By not overpowering the interaction, you make room for her to step forward when she's comfortable. This doesn't mean being passive. It means being respectful. When you mirror her calmness, she may eventually initiate more energy herself. She might become more expressive, playful, or open, but it will feel authentic, not forced. That kind of shift is only possible when there's space for it to grow. Your job isn't to lead the whole time. Some Artemisher strength is in holding the space and letting her step into it. When she chooses, it makes you memorable in a quiet way. Loud energy often fades quickly, but a grounded presence stays with people. If she remembers how you matched her energy, how she felt calm and understood around you, you're not just another fleeting conversation. You're someone she'll think about later, because the interaction wasn't based on flash, it was based on realignment. You didn't chase attention, you offered understanding that lingers. It aligns with Stoic wisdom. Stoicism teaches us self-control, patience, and presence. It encourages us to observe then react, to remain steady rather than erratic. When you mirror her energy, you're putting Stoic wisdom into practice. You're not trying to impose your will. You're practicing empathy, restraint, and discernment. You're meeting another person on equal ground, and that is both a sign of internal strength and outward respect. Number 3. Stay calm and collected. Let your breathing speak in any meaningful interaction, especially those that involve quiet moments like a hug, deep conversation, or eye contact. Your energy speaks even when your mouth doesn't. And one of the most powerful yet often overlooked ways to communicate energy is through your breathing. Yes, something as simple and natural as breathing can convey confidence, calmness, emotional presence, and maturity. This isn't about controlling someone else's perception. It's about learning to anchor yourself in the moment, to be steady under pressure, and to let your inner peace become a quiet strength that others feel when they're around you. Let's explore why your breathing matters and how staying calm and collected, especially through your breath, makes a lasting impact without ever saying a word. 1. Your breathing reveals your internal state. Whether you're aware of it or not, your breathing reflects what's going on inside you. If you're anxious, your breath is short and shallow. If you're angry, it's sharp and fast. If you're centered and calm, your breath is steady and slow. People, especially emotionally attuned people, can sense that difference. When a woman interacts with you, she often subconsciously picks up on your breathing rhythm. If it's erratic or pressured, it can signal discomfort or insecurity. But if it's slow and controlled, it gives off a strong sense of composure and trustworthiness. Reason, your breath is the bridge between your inner world and outer expression. When it's calm, you are calmed. People can feel that without needing an explanation. To calm breathing communicates confidence without force. There's a difference between trying to look confident and simply being confident. Men who try too hard often speak too fast, move too quickly, or fidget without knowing it. Their breathing reflects that. Fast, shallow, reactive. But a man who takes time to breathe before he speaks or responds doesn't come off as passive. He comes off as composed. He sends the message, I'm not rushed. I'm in control of myself. I can handle this moment without needing to dominate it. That's real confidence, the kind that doesn't need to shout. Reason, steady breathing graphics inner strength, and strength when quiet and calm speaks louder than any performance. 3. Your breath regulates not just you, but the room. One of the powerful principles of Stoicism is self-mastery. A man who has mastered his breath can without effort influence the energy of others. When you remain calm in a tense situation, others around you start to breathe easier too. When you stay collected during emotional conversions, you give others permission to feel safe and grounded. This is especially true in moments of support, like when someone hugs you or shares something vulnerable. Your breath acts like a silent metronome, setting the tone for the interaction. Reason calmness is contagious. When your breathing is steady, it becomes an anchor, not only for yourself but for anyone sharing space with you. 4. Breathing helps you avoid reactivity. When you're not breathing properly, you're more likely to react emotionally or impulsively. But when you stay connected to your breath, you pause, you observe, you respond rather than react. This is crucial in relationships and meaningful moments. The person who pauses, even just for a second to breathe before speaking, listening, or acting, is seen as someone with depth. He's not just reacting to life. He's living it with intention. Reason. Your breath creates space between stimulus and response, and in that space lies your wisdom. 5. It makes you memorable without effort. There's something quietly magnetic about someone who remains composed in emotionally charged or intimate moments. They leave a sense of steadiness behind, like a soft echo of calm that lingers in your memory. And often, the only technique they used was breathing with intention. You don't need to be overly expressive, charming, or dominant to be unforgettable. When you let your breath guide your demeanor, you carry a kind of silent dignity. That's what people remember, especially those who value emotional presence. Reason. People remember how you made them feel, and when your breathing creates a sense of ease, they associate you with peace. 6. Your breathing reflects self-respect. A man who breathes calmly, who gives himself the space to think, feel, and act with awareness, shows that he respects his own body and mind. He's not trying to prove anything or impress anyone. He's not trying to win moments. He's simply honoring the present. And this quiet self-respect radios. In contrast, someone who rushes to speak or acts before breathing often seems like they're chasing validation. Calm breathing, on the other hand, says, I am enough as I am. I don't need to perform. Reason. Self-respect shows itself in the smallest habits, and your breathing is one of the first places people notice it. 7. Breathing helps you stay grounded in discomfort. Not every moment is easy. Sometimes you're unsure. Sometimes you're nervous. But even then, especially then, the breath becomes your greatest ally. Taking a slow breath in a difficult moment reminds you that you can handle discomfort without collapsing under it. Whether you're dealing with a tense conversation, silence, or a meaningful hug, your breath brings you back to your center. Reason. Stoic strength isn't the absence of difficulty. It's the ability to breathe through it without losing your values. 8. It trains you for life beyond attainment. The beauty of developing calm breathing is that it doesn't just help you in one-on-one interactions. It strengthens your overall ability to remain grounded in daily life, in work, stress, relationships, and personal growth. Every time you return to your breath, you train your nervous system to stay balanced. Over time, this becomes second nature, and you become the kind of man others naturally trust and respect. Reason. A calm breath today builds resilience for tomorrow. It's not just a technique, it's a lifestyle. 4. Make the hug mean something, even if you say nothing. There's a quiet power in a hug. Not every one of them is dramatic or sympathetic. Some are brief, simple gestures. But even a short hug can carry deep meaning if you let it. In a world filled with noise, distraction, and overexcitation, a hug offers something rare: silence, presence, and intention. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we control: our behavior, our mindset, our presence, and in the context of a hug, presence is everything. Here's how to make a hug truly mean something, even if you say nothing. 1. Be fully present in the moment. A rushed, distracted hug says more than you realize. When your mind is elsewhere, on your phone, on your plans, on your next words, you rob the moment of its meaning. To make it count, stop everything. Drop into the moment fully. Take a breath. Focus on the person in front of you. You don't need to speak. Just be there. Your grounded presence alone says, I see you. I'm here with you. That's rare, and people feel it. 2. Let your energy speak before your words do. Here not to take, but to honor. That level of respect isn't just polite, it's powerful. 10. You reflect your inner world without speaking. Stoic men often let your energy speak for them, and how you respond in a hug reveals what's going on inside you. If you're at peace, present, and not trying to take anything, that's all carry an energy, whether calm, hurried, impatient, or thoughtful. You didn't need to say, I care, or, I missed you, when your presence already conveys it. If you're calm, composed, and intentional, the other person feels that your steadiness gives them space to relax, and even if they don't know how to articulate it, they walk away feeling respected and valued. It's not about being performative, it's about being sincere. That's where the real Release 3. Respect the space between you. A meaningful hug doesn't overstep. It respects personal boundaries. You don't have to hold on longer than needed or grip tighter than necessary. You just have to mean it. The Stoic doesn't try to control others. He simply controls himself, what's genuine, and leaves the rest alone. A short, respectful hug can carry more warmth than a lingering one done without thought. It's not about how long it lasts, it's about how intentional it feels. For anchor the moment with stillness. Many people fidget during a hug. They pat backs, shift their weight, or move too quickly to break away. That's often because they're uncomfortable with stillness, but stillness is often the most powerful part of connection. In those few seconds, you can let the moment breathe. You don't need to rush. You don't need to talk. Just stay steady, be calm. That pause, silent and still, can be the most human moment of your entire day. 5. Know that some things are better felt than said. There are times when no words are enough. Someone's going through pain, or they're overwhelmed with joy, or they simply need comfort without conversation. A hug can be a way of saying, I understand, without making the moment severe with words. This is where quiet empathy steps in. It's not about fixing anything. It's about being with someone, not talking at them. That's why a hug, silent, grounded, and intentional, can speak directly to the heart. 6. You're not just giving, you're issuing. A meaningful hug is not a performance. It's not about you trying to prove anything. It's a shared human moment. Stoicism reminds us we're out through shared humanity. When you give someone a hug, you're not offering them a piece of yourself. You're meeting them in a place of shared understanding, even just for a second. You're telling them you're not alone. That kind of presence is remembered long after the moment ends. 7. Let the hug be enough. There's often pressure to say something, to explain what you feel, to reassure someone, or to respond perfectly. But sometimes the most powerful thing you can offer is restraint. Let the hug be what it is. Trust that sincerity in your action is enough. You don't need to fill the silence. You don't need to follow it up with a speech. You just need to mean it. In a Stoic sense, this is emotional discipline, not holding back what's true, but not overindulging what's unnecessary. 8. Be the one who grounds the moment. People notice when you're calm in moments of stress, when emotions run high. A steady presence feels like, and a meaningful hug offered without agenda can serve as that anchor. Maybe someone's going through something tough. Maybe they feel unsure or unseen. When you hug them, not with drama, but with stillness and sincerity, they feel held, even if just emotionally. That grounding presence can become part of how they remember you. Not for what you said, but for how you made them feel. 9. Mean what you offer, even in. Ultimately, a hug is a gesture, but a gesture, like anything, only holds power if it's backed by truth. Don't hug someone out of habit or obligation. Don't do it because you feel like you're supposed to. If you're going to offer it, do it with a quiet authenticity. Even a short embrace done with sincerity holds more value than 1,000 hollow ones. Intentional living means putting meaning into what you do, no matter how small, even a hug. 10. Let your actions align with who you are. A Stoic man doesn't act based on how others will perceive him. He acts based in values. If you value presence, warmth, and clarity, then let your hugs reflect that. Let them carry the quiet strength of a man who doesn't need to speak to be understood. Because when you offer that kind of presence, people feel it even when you say nothing. Number 5. Respect the boundaries within the hug. A Stoic man's quiet strength. When a woman hugs you, it may seem like a simple gesture, but within that moment lies a quiet space of trust, energy, and unspoken communication. And perhaps the most important thing you can do during that moment, more than reacting, more than trying to read into it, is to respect her boundaries. That boundaries are not walls, they are signals. They tell you where comfort begins and ends. And a man who honors those silent signals, especially during something as personal as a hug, earns a lasting place in her memory, not because he tried to get closer, but because he showed restraint, respect, and understanding. In this article, we'll break down the reasons why respecting boundaries in a hug speaks volumes and how it reflects the Stoic qualities of dignity, emotional intelligence, and quiet confidence. Number 1. A hug is about connection, not control. A hug should never feel like a power move. It's not about holding someone to prove you're important or turning the moment into something more than it is. When you respect the space she's comfortable giving you, whether it's brief or extended, you demonstrate that you're not trying to take anything. You're simply sharing a moment. Why it matters. Control seeks to possess. Respect seeks to understand. When a woman feels you're trying to take more than she's offering, trust deepens. Even without words. Number 2. You show her that you're listening without needing to be told. Most boundaries are unspoken. They're communicated through posture, tone, timing. If she initiates a soft, one-armed hug, or keeps a bit of distance, that's not rejection. It's her communicating where she feels comfortable. A Stoic man observes these cues without taking them personally. He doesn't need to be told what to do because he's attentive enough to notice and mature enough to honor it. The message you send her is, I see you. I hear what you are saying through your actions, and I respect it. That creates psychological safety, something that lingers long after the moment is over. Number 3. Boundaries communicate emotional safety, and you become the safe place. When you respect boundaries within a hug, you're telling her something powerful. She can be herself around you without fear of pressure or misinterpretation. You become the kind of man who doesn't make everything about himself. You don't turn gentle affection into a test or a transaction. You meet her where she is. And that kind of emotional safety is unforgettable. In a world full of takers, the man who holds space without demanding more becomes rare, and rare things are remembered. Number 4. Stoic men aren't led by impulse. Stoicism teaches self-mastery, not to suppress emotion, but to channel it wisely. You may enjoy its moment, you may feel deeply, but you remain composed. You don't hug longer than she's comfortable with. You don't tighten your grip. You don't interpret a friendly hug as a romantic invitation. You let the moment be what it is. No more, no less. Real masculinity doesn't purse what isn't freely offered. It honors what is. Number 5. Strengthen her respect for you without saying a word. It's one thing to demand respect. It's another thing entirely to earn it in silence. When you honor her boundaries without making her explain them, when you show awareness without overreacting, you gain quiet credulity. She may not point it out, but internally she recognizes that you carry something rare, emotional maturity, and that stays with her. She remembers you not for how close you got, but for how safe she felt when she let you in. Number 6. You avoid trap of needing reassurance. Insecure men often overanalyze physical gestures, needing constant validation. They overhug, they linger. They interpret affection as proof of their worth. But a Stoic man doesn't seek reassurance in a hug. He doesn't treat it like a test of interest. He accepts it with grace and lets it be what it is, even if it's small, brief, or formal. That confidence, the ability to receive without needing more, is what sets you apart. Emotional stillness creates presence. And presence when grounded in self-worth speaks louder than performance. Number 7. Respecting boundaries. Trust over time. Trust isn't built in grand gestures. It's built in quiet moments. When she knows you won't overstep during something as simple as a hug, she'll feel more comfortable opening up to you in other ways. Her guard will lower, not because you broke it down, but because you showed her she didn't need to keep it up. A single act of restraint can lead to a lifetime of trust. Number 8. You practice what you preach. Dignity, discipline, and depth. Every time you respect a boundary, you reinforce your own values. You show that you don't need to push to prove or to pressure. You operate from a place of inner discipline. That quiet strength, the kind that doesn't flinch when it could act impulsively, is deeply attractive, even if she can't explain why. The man who governs himself commands quiet respect. Number 9. You let her feel in control of her space, and that's empowering. When a woman knows she can choose how long to hug, when to let go, and how close to be, without worrying about being misunderstood, you give her the gift of control. Not in a controlling way, but in a respectful way. You're saying, you decide what you're comfortable with. I'm felt. She may not articulate it, but something about you will feel right, like a calm current in a noisy world, and that's the kind of presence that lingers long after the moment ends. Number 6. Let the moment in naturally. Don't cling. There's a quiet strength in letting a moment pass. In choosing not to grasp too tightly, not to chase after a feeling, and not to force something that was meant to be brief. Letting a moment end naturally is not weakness. It is emotional discipline. It is a reflection of confidence, maturity, and deep respect, both for yourself and for others. Here's why learning to not cling is such a powerful trait, especially for men, who aim to live with intention and presence. 1. Clinging disrupts the flow of connection. When something beautiful or meaningful happens, a shared laugh, a good conversation, a kind gesture, it's natural to want to hold on. But trying to prolong a moment past its natural end can actually make it feel forced. The end changes, the rhythm is lost, you begin to reach instead of receive. Letting a moment end naturally respects the pace of human connection. It keeps things real and authenticity of a moment lies in its briefness, not its length. 2. Moments are not promises, they're gifts. One of the key Stoic principles is this: nothing belongs to us, not even the present moment. When someone shares time, space, or attention with you, it's a gift, not an obligation. That gift doesn't require you to chase after more of it. Just because someone is kind today doesn't mean they owe you the same thing tomorrow. By accepting moments as gifts, we stay rooted in gratitude rather than entitlement, and that shift in mindset makes us more grounded, more attractive, and far less reactive. 3. You show strength when you resist the urge to hold on. It takes discipline not to text first. It takes composure to overstay a moment of emotional connection. It takes inner stability to walk away when something felt good, but now it's over. That resistance isn't coldness, it's poise. You demonstrate that you're not desperate for more. You're not dependent on someone else's presence to feel whole. And paradoxically, that calm detachment of on invites people to come closer on their own terms. 4. Clinging can feel like pressure to others. Even if your intentions are pure, holding on too tightly can feel suffocating to someone else. When you're trying to make something last, and they may feel responsible for your emotional state, that can make them retreat or feel uneasy. When you let the moment end naturally, you remove that invisible pressure. You allow the other person to leave with a light heart, no guilt, no tension, no weight. That grace is remembered. It creates a safe space for them to return if they choose to. 5. Letting go leaves the door open for something real. When you're not trying to capture a moment and lock it in place, you create room for something more genuine to develop later. You don't come across as needy. You don't burn bridges. You leave things open, dignified, and undamaged. Sometimes people return to those who gave them space, not because they felt just, but because they felt seen and respected. Your restraint becomes thievery reason they're drawn back. 6. You learn to trust yourself, not the outcome. Clinging is often a result of insecurity, a fear that this good moment might not come again. But when you stop clinging, you teach yourself an important truth. You don't need this moment to last in order to be okay. You become anchored in your own character. You trust that you can create meaningful experiences again elsewhere, with or without this particular person or situation. That confidence radiates. People notice when you're not grasping for reassurance, and they respect it. 7. Presence requires that you stay in the now, not chase the past. The more chase a moment that has already ended, the less present we become. We stop listening, we stop observing. We're stuck in what just happened instead of what is happening now. True presence means letting go of the moment after it's passed, without bitters or desperation. It means showing up for the next one with the same openness and ease. That's the rhythm of connection moment by moment. 8. You show maturity when you don't try to extend what's complete, whether it's a conversation, a shared silence, or even a goodbye. There's wisdom in knowing when to step back. No writhing needs to be extended. Some things are complete exactly as they are. Trying to add more words, more time, more interaction can dilute what was meaningful. Maturity is being able to feel the fullness of a moment and still let it go without reaching back for more. 9. You become a calming presence others trust. When you don't cling, you give others the sense that they're free, and people feel safe around that kind of energy. You don't overwhelm, you don't demand attention. You don't create tension by trying to hold on to something too tightly. That makes you steady, trustworthy, emotionally safe. And in a world that often feels chaotic, being someone who can gracefully let go is magnetic. 10. Stoicism teaches you to love without possession. Stoic philosophy reminds us that life is temporary. Even the most beautiful moments, we're meant to appreciate things while they last, not possess them. Trying to cling to joy will not extend it. Trying to capture connection will not deepen it. Letting go with gratitude and dignity is one of the deepest forms of love and strength. It says, I value this, but I don't need to own it. Number 7. Let her feel your stillness, not your tension. In a world saturated with overstimulation, emotional reactivity, and frantic energy, one quality stands out: stillness. Stillness is not about silence or inaction. It's a deep-rooted calm, a composed inner foundation that others can sense even before you speak. When you're around a woman, whether she's a friend, a partner, or even a stranger, she doesn't just notice your words or your actions, she notices your energy, and your energy is always communicating something, calm or chaos, steadiness or restlessness, tension or peace. If you want to make a lasting, meaningful impression, don't try to impress her with noise or bravado. Instead, let her feel your stillness, not your tension. This article breaks down exactly what that means and how to embody it, especially through the lens of Stoic masculinity and emotional intelligence. 1. Stillness is emotional safety. Tension is emotional noise. Women, like all people, are sensitive to emotional undercurrents. Often, they won't remember every word you say, but they will remember how they felt around you. Stillness communicates this. You're safe here, you're not being judged, you can breathe. Tension, on the other hand, says something's off. I'm not fully present. I'm caught in my own inner chaos. Why it matters. People don't open up to tension. They open up to presence. A man who is emotionally settled creates an environment where others, especially women, can relax. 2. You can't fake stillness. It's the result of internal work. Stillness isn't about acting calm on the outside while your mind is racing inside. It's not a performance. It's a product of deep inner discipline, the kind the Stoics valued above all else. You gain stillness by practicing mindfulness, detaching from the need for validation, accepting the moment exactly as it is, and letting go of what you can't control. When you've done this inner work, your outer demeanor naturally becomes composed. You don't need to try to appear calm. You are calm, and she'll feel that, even in silence. Stoic reminder: be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. It stands, unmoved, and the surging of the sea falls, still around it. Marcus Aurelius. 3. Stillness doesn't mean you're emotionless. It means you're steady. There's a misconception that emotional stillness means you're cold, detached, or robotic. That's not true. Stillness is not the absence of emotion. It's emotional maturity. It means you don't react impulsively. You feel but don't get swept away. You observe your emotions before acting on them. When a woman senses this in you, she may not always be able to explain why, but she feels safer, more open, and more drawn in. You become someone she can trust, not because you say the right thing, but because you are the right energy. 4. Your body language reflects your inner world. When you're tense, your body shows it. Tight shoulders, rigid posture, fidgeting, inconsistent eye contact. But when you're still, truly still, it shows too. Relaxed shoulders, grounded posture, slow natural gestures. Calm, steady gaze. These nonverbal cues tell her everything. Without a word, she can sense whether you're carrying internal storms or in. Practical tip: before any meaningful interaction, take one deep breath and check in with your body. Unclench your jaw, drop your shoulders, let go of performance. 5. Tension comes from overthinking. Stillness comes from trust. When you're overly concerned with what she thinks of you, how you're coming across, or whether you're saying the right thing, that anxiety creates visible tension. It's subtle, but she feels it. It's the energy of someone who's trying to control, impress, or predict outcomes, and it creates distance. Stillness comes when you trust yourself. Let the moment unfold naturally. You don't seek approval or chase outcomes. You stop performing. You start being. And ironically, that's when she begins to lean in. 6. Stillness creates space for her to herself. When you're still, you don't fill the silence with unnecessary chatter. You don't try to dominate the energy in the room. Instead, you create space. This space gives her permission to take a breath, gather her thoughts, let down her own guard. Many men don't realize how much emotional pressure they place on women to keep the energy up. But when a man brings stillness, he invites her into a moment where she can just be, no expectations. She won't always say it aloud, but she'll feel it. There's something different about him, around him. I can finally exhale. Stoic reminder. Confidence isn't thinking you're better than others. It's knowing you have nothing to prove. 8. Stillness is remembered long after you're gone. A calm presence leaves a lasting imprint. It doesn't shout to be remembered. It just lingers. Think back. Have you ever been around Simeon, whose calm stayed with you even after they left? Someone whose peace made you feel more centered yourself. That's what you become when you cultivate true stillness. Long after the interaction, she won't remember every detail of the conversation. But she'll remember how calm she felt around you, and that will make her want to feel it. 9. Let stillness be your signature. The modern world is filled with men chasing attention, validation, and control. You don't need to be another one of them. You don't need louder words, bolder moves, or sharper lines. What you need is stillness. The kind that makes her feel safe. The kind that slows time. The kind that speaks without speaking. When you let her feel your stillness, not your tension, you don't just stand out. You stay in her memory. Not because you tried to leave an impression, but because you didn't try to be anything at all. 8. Don't make it about you. Let the hug serve her. There's a quiet kind of power in the way you offer a hug, not in taking or in asserting yourself, but in how you choose to be present for another person, especially when it comes to a woman who trusts you enough to lean into that space. Your embrace should never be about proving anything. It should serve her, her emotions, her timing, her sense of peace, her dignity. This isn't about romanticizing touch, it's about understanding presence, respect, and emotional intelligence. A hug at its best is a safe container, not a transaction. Here's why it matters that you don't make the hug about you and how you can offer a deeper kind of care. Interact her through something as simple as how you embrace her. 1. A hug can be healing if you let it be. For many people, a hug can be more than warmth. It can be relief. It can be a silent way of saying you're not alone. If she reaches for you or accepts your gesture, your responsibility isn't to your responsibility is to be steady. Don't analyze her body language for clues. Don't try to interpret it as a sign of interest or affection. That ruins it. Let it be about what she needs in that moment. If you make it about yourself, you interrupt the healing space that could have existed. The best kind of strength you can show is the kind that simply holds space. 2. Be present without pressing. Presence is not pressure. When you hug Simeon with self-awareness, you don't cling, you don't tighten with expectation, you allow it to be exactly what it is. No more, no less. A hug can mean many things. Reassurance, shared emotion, celebration, quiet sadness. But unless she tells you otherwise, your posture should always err toward gentleness and composure. Let her set the pace. Some people hold for just a second, others linger, some sigh, some stiffen a little, and step back. Respect it all. A Stoic man understands that people are not here to serve his emotional validation. If you truly care, serve the moment instead. 3. Offer stability, not solution. When someone hugs you, especially a woman going through something personal, she doesn't need you to fix her world. She doesn't need your commentary or your ego. She may just need to lean on Simeon, who won't collapse emotionally or intellectually under the weight of it all. Let the hug be a kind of wordless vow. You're safe here. You're not being judged, and you don't owe me anything for this. That kind of quiet integrity leaves an impression far stronger than any attempt to impress her with words or gestures. 4. Don't turn a moment of vulnerability into a mirror. Sometimes we unconsciously make everything about ourselves. We wonder, does she like me? What does this mean for us? How do I look right now? But when someone trusts you enough to step into your space, even briefly, they don't need a man lost in self-reference. They need a man rooted in something deeper than approval seeking. Don't make it hug an emotional mirror for your own insecurities or wants. Let it reflect your ability to support someone else's moment. 5. Stillness is its own language. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to move. You don't even need to understand everything she's feeling. Sometimes just being still with her is enough. No fidgeting, no tapping, no nervous chuckle. Stillness speaks to something ancient in all of us. I am here, and I am not afraid of this. If you can learn to be a still presence in a chaotic world, people will sense it, not because you're trying to be noticed but because you've cultivated enough self-awareness to not need to be noticed. 6. Respect her boundaries, even the unspoken ones. Some boundaries are clearly stated, others are felt. If she gently steps back, let her. If she barely leans in, don't pull her closer. If she's silent, don't ask her to explain. If she hugs you and doesn't want to talk about it, don't dig for meaning. Sometimes the moment exists so she can let go of something privately while in your company, not so you can dissect her feelings. That kind of restraint shows maturity. Women remember how they felt around you, not what you said. And sometimes the only thing they need to feel is respected. Don't make the hug an emotional mirror for your own insecurities. Let it reflect your ability to support someone else's moment. 7. Let her walk away with her dignity intact. When the hug is over, don't hold on longer than you should. Don't linger in a way that makes her feel like she owes you something. Step back with grace. Don't comment on how she hugged you. Don't tease her. Don't turn it into a moment that centers your own interpretation. Let her walk away with her head high, not wondering if she gave away too much. Let her feel the peace of the moment, not the weight of it being misread. You don't need to be remembered for how tightly you held on. You'll be remembered for how gently you let go. 8. A true embrace is never transactional. There is nothing more unattractive than turning affection into a scoreboard. A hug isn't a debt owed. It's not an opening for something more. It's not a promise of attention. It's a small, human moment, one that you are privileged to share, not entitled to receive. If you hug someone and expect something in return, then you've already missed the point. When you truly serve the moment without trying to harvest it for personal gain, something rare happens. You become trustworthy, not because you said the right thing, but because you resisted the need to make it about you. Number 9. Let go and let it work on her quietly. In any interaction, especially one that involves emotional connection, like a hug, it's not just the moment that matters. It's what comes after that often reveals the most about a person. Many men focus so much on how to respond to a hug or how to be present during it, but they forget one essential truth. How you carry yourself afterwards speaks volumes. Do you remain composed or do you shift nervously? Do you try to overcompensate or joke to fill the silence? Or do you maintain the calm that made the hug feel meaningful in the first place? Holding your frame isn't about being cold or distant. It's about staying aligned with your values, your calm, and your emotional control, even after the moment has passed. That's what leaves a lasting impression. And it's often that energy that lingers in her memory long after she walks away. Let's explore the reasons why this matters and how to practice it. 1. Your reaction sets the emotional tone. After a hug, what you do next matters more than you may think. If you suddenly change your energy, becoming overly talkative, nervous, or seeking validation, it can disrupt the emotional flow of the interaction. But if you remain calm, grounded, and emotionally centered, it reinforces the quiet strength you just showed. It shows you that your presence wasn't momentary. It's who you are, Stoic thought. The man who is at peace within himself does not fluctuate with fleeting emotions. 2. Confidence is proven in the quiet moments. You don't need to say anything clever or charming after a hug to seal the moment. In fact, trying too hard can often feel forced or disingenuous. True confidence shows itself in how comfortable you are with stillness. If you can stay composed in silence, if you can meet her gaze without flinching, and if you can transition back into the moment without chasing the high of the hug, you show emotional maturity, and that's far more attractive and memorable than anything else. Why it matters. Women don't just remember what you did, they remember how you made them feel. If you made her feel calm and respected during the hug, keep that emotional tone steady afterward. That's what lingers. 3. It shows you're not needy for validation. One of the quickest ways to lose emotional ground is to seek reassurance after a meaningful moment. If you act like you're fishing for her approval, looking for her to affirm that hug meant something, it can make her feel pressured or uncomfortable. But if you stay grounded and let the moment speak for itself, you show her that you're secure in yourself. You don't need her reaction to feel whole or worthy. Stoic reminder. Don't tie your sense of peace to the reactions of others. Anchor it within. Free. Emotional stability builds trust. When you hold your frame, you become someone she can trust. You're not reactive. You're not chasing. You're not interpreting every moment through the lens of insecurity. You're simply present. That calm stability builds emotional safety, which is one of the rarest and most powerful traits in any connection. Why it matters. She may not consciously realize it, but she feels it. And in a world full of people who rush or overreact, your steadiness will stand out. 5. You allow her to reflect without pressure. Sometimes after a hug, especially a meaningful one, a woman needs space to process how she feels. If you immediately rush in with conversation or attempt to capitalize on the connection, it doesn't give her room to reflect. By staying calm, composed, and not pushing for more, you give her the greatest gift, space. That space makes her feel respected and honored, not managed or pursued. And in that quiet space, she'll often realize how good she felt with you. 6. Your demeanor afterward reveals emotional intelligence. Anyone can enjoy a meaningful moment, but not everyone knows how to transition out of it with grace. When you maintain your calm after the hug, when you continue being thoughtful, collected, and attuned to the situation, it shows you understand emotional flow. It shows self-awareness. That's what emotionally intelligent men do. They don't force a vibe, they respect it. Real attraction isn't built in the highs. It's built in how you navigate the spaces between. 7. It keeps her curious. Ironically, when you don't rush in, when you don't flood the space with words or try to dissect what just happened, you leave something to the imagination. That subtle mystery born not from manipulation, but from poise makes her more curious about you. She remember how present you were. She notice how calm you remained, and she wonder why did that moment feel different with him. Stoic insight. The man who seeks nothing often receives more than he expects. 8. You remain true to your center. Your frame isn't a performance. It's not something you hold on to impress her. It's something you build from within day by day. So when a hug happens or an emotionally charged moment passes, and you stay centered, it's not a tactic. It's simply you being you. That authenticity resonates, and it's what separates men who are forgotten from theons who are quietly remembered. Practicing Stoicism means you don't chase moments. You embody values, and those values create connection. That the moment